So on the whole, I'm not a fan of, well, I can't even say, I'm just not interested in the live action remakes of cartoons. Because Disney's been remaking, rather than making new stuff, they're remaking their old animated movies into live action. We did go see Lilo and Stitch just out of curiosity, and it was pretty good. I didn't know how I felt about How You Train Your Dragon. I still don't know how I feel about How to Train Your Dragon. The actors were wonderful. They stuck fairly close to the story from the animated movie, which is one of my objections to them remaking. It's like, I already know the story. You're not telling me something new. But if I'm going to recommend How to Train Your Dragon, the live action, in the movie theater, it is simply for the flying. Where they filmed all of the flying scenes, especially, well, the first time when Hiccup gets on the dragon and flies around, and then when he kidnaps Astrid and flies her around, they fly around. That country is gorgeous. I believe it's in Iceland, and just, it's beautiful. It is absolutely, so, you know, and it's probably 20 minutes of the movie, but it was beautiful to see, especially on that big screen. So, you know, the only thing that would be better was to see it in person. So that's my 2 cents worth on that. But that is not why we are here. I'm not here to do movie reviews. I'm here to read Living the Science of Mind. So we are going to tackle Principle and Precedent today, which is actually a fairly good, it's one of my favorite topics. Principle is not bound by precedent, and that is a cornerstone of Science of Mind. So we will do that. But let's do the housekeeping first. And that's just me reminding you, we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email is info@creativelife.org. That will get you 1 email a week, unless something unusual happens, because I will remind you, we do live in hurricane country. And it is hurricane season now. So, and the hot links are hot. If it says click here now, it'll take you right to the information or the person that can help you get it. Also, it's a blind CC. Nobody's going to get your email from us. Nobody sees your email in those emails. So, if that helps you feel more comfortable at doing it, then take that for what it is. Now, social media. We do not monetize the social media. Why I'm telling you this is because we don't pay them to bump us in the algorithms. We rely on you to do that. So what we ask you to do is go like, subscribe, and follow based on the platform. Because like on Facebook, you can like and follow. On YouTube, if you subscribe, then it'll notify you when we upload new videos. And then on the posts, if you will like, share, and comment on those, bumps us in the algorithm. So we appreciate that. All right. And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. If you don't find us under Creative Life Spiritual Center, try Creative Life Spark. And then I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. So there is that. Okay. That is the housekeeping. Now, pet theory, people kept asking Ernest questions after they either came to lectures or or read the Science of Mind text. So that is what this is. This is a collection of essays from his at-home Science of Mind course. And with that, I just think people kept asking him questions, and he was like, well. And so what they did was they pulled essays out of the 48-week at-home study course, and published them. So, all right. So we're doing Principle and Precedent today, which I can't believe I haven't read this, but apparently I haven't, because there are no marks in it. So I have my handy highlighter ready. All right. So Principle and Precedent. All humankind is more or less following the patterns of thought in which it is immersed. Whether we choose to call this a collective unconscious, the carnal mind, or the influence of race suggestion makes no difference. As I like to say, it's all semantics. Most of us follow the patterns of thought as they have been laid down through the ages. We say things must happen today and tomorrow because they happened yesterday and the day before. Psychologists contend that a neurotic thought pattern will repeat itself with monotonous regularity until the pattern is changed. Advances in science and civilization come through breaking down the belief that things have to be the way they are because they have always been that way. Now, that's kind of an important part. Just because we've done it this way the whole time doesn't mean it's the right way. But the laws of nature or the principles that govern life know nothing about precedences, which is really, really, really important. At one time, we used tallow candles. Now we have electric lights. There is nothing in nature that prohibited the world from having had electric light 10,000 years ago, but no one knew anything about them. When the day arrives on which somebody discovered the new possibility, the law of nature complied and delivered the secret which made the new possible. The world has always said wars must continue to be because they have always been. People have always believed that the different countries could not settle their difficulties by peaceful methods. This precedent is of such a long standing that it is a difficult thing to overcome. Yet sooner or later it will have to be overcome if the world is to survive. There's a really great Doctor Who episode in the Peter Capaldi era, and that's exactly what it is. He presents them with a button that if you push the button, bad things will happen. And he said, in the end, you can go on and keep pushing the button and keep killing each other, but in the end, you're going to have to sit down and talk about it. Why not do it now? One of the best episodes ever. So, yeah. The same thing has happened throughout the history of spiritual evolution, or the unfoldment of people's thought about their relationship with God. People have prayed to a power higher than themselves, and occasionally their prayers have been answered affirmatively. Perhaps they have always been answered in accordance with the way they have prayed. However, it has always been accepted that some prayers are answered while others are not. Because of this belief, a precedent was established which made the answer to prayer an unpredictable thing. This is one of the precedents that needs to be broken. We must allow spiritual activity a larger scope. When we realize that all the spiritual power there is at our disposal, and that no matter how limited a viewpoint we may have had yesterday, with the limitations that follow that viewpoint, today we can increase our field of inward awareness. Then we make possible a greater influx of the divine thought, of the divine through the human. That is, through our own thinking. But we can never do this unless we believe we can, for the belief that we cannot binds us back to the old precedents and compels us to accept only as much good as has been experienced in the past. Yep. The belief that we cannot binds us back to the old precedents. It's like that old saying, if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you can't. You know, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. Thankfully, it's like the bee. They say that about the bee. The bee doesn't know that it can fly, that it can't fly, so it makes a little honey every day. All right. If we can get it firmly fixed in our mind that principle is never bound by precedent, that the doing of new things in science through the new discoveries always existed as a possibility, and that there was nothing in nature which prohibited the larger experience, we shall no longer be hypnotized by the past. I was going to say paralyzed. Either way, we shall no longer be hypnotized by the past. Every now and again, Ernest just has this really amazing turn of phrase, and that's one of them. It is probable that most of us go through life more or less hypnotized by what everyone has believed. We say that the good we desire cannot come to us because we have never experienced it. Or we say that the good we desire is too much to expect, and there is not enough good to go around, or that God does not hear our prayer. All of which we say. Too often, we turn over the possibilities of the individual life to the acceptance of the collective group. That's a good one. Too often, we turn over the possibilities of the individual life to the acceptance of the collective group. Now, don't get me wrong. We do live in community and it's very important, but there are times that it is a good idea to be an individual. And in your spiritual life, that's one of them. We should do the exact opposite. We should break down the hypnotic suggestions that bind us and create new avenues in the mind for a fresh approach and a new outlook to spirit. This is something that every person must do for themselves, but there is a method or a way to begin. We should start with the firm conviction that we are dealing with a power which is not bound. It is not limited. It is not only some power. It is all power. It is not difficult to conceive the mind of this. It's not difficult to convince the mind of this, since plain reasoning compels one to accept such viewpoint. Next, we must assure ourselves that we have access to this power. Do you see the steps of treatment here? We could never do this if we felt that the power was external to us. If it were something apart from or different from our own being. We discover that God is immediate and personal, a possibility latent within the self, but ready to be called upon and used. Our next step is to identify the self with this power. See, I'm talking the statements of the steps of treatment. Our next step is to identify the self with the power. I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. We are one with this power, in it, with it, and some part of it. He says that, not me, but I agree with him. Remember, essence of God, not the allness of God. Having identified ourselves with the power, which is the law, and the present, which is the spirit, we must consciously increase our expectation and deepen our realization. This is done by meditation, communing with the divine, until gradually we extend our concepts of life and the possibilities of living, that we are no longer bound by our old thought patterns. There are simple techniques which help us do this, and as an example, we might say, I am one with all the power there is. I am one with all the presence there is. There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life now. This power, this presence, and this life are perfect, complete, whole, happy. Now, did you hear words that a lot of science of mind ministers use when they start their treatments? We rip them off from Ernest because he did really good in putting them together. All right. We identify the mind with this wholeness, with this happiness, with this perfection, affirming its presence and embodying a certain feeling about it. An inward awareness. This practice must continue until the idea becomes real to us, not as though we were something apart from or approaching the reality, but as though we were operating from the very center of it, which of course we are. Then we can continue by saying, there are new thoughts, new ideas coming to me. I open my whole consciousness to the influx of that which is larger and better. I identify my mind with inward peace and joy. At times, we may be confronted with negative arguments of set mental patterns which circumscribe, limit, or depress the mind. Our senses may try to insist that we follow the old established precedents as our true guide, since they have been adhered to by humanity from time immemorial. Right here, a certain amount of adventure, of imagination must be brought into play to create a feeling of acceptance which will break down these old thought patterns. We must understand that they are not the truth of God's being, but merely monotonous repetitions of all the negative thoughts of the ages. We must know that our new declaration of... hang on. Let me try that again. We must know that our new declaration of truth Our new declarations of truth have the power within themselves to completely destroy the old thought patterns. Very, very, very important. We got to believe in ourselves. We have got to believe in ourselves. Because if we don't believe in ourselves, what's the point of doing this, right? I mean, like, I can believe in you, but it'll only work for you when you start believing in you. So all I can do is hold the space for you to believe in you until you do it. All right. An argument similar to the following is a good one to use in such cases. I am no longer hypnotized by the old thought patterns. I am no longer bound by these precedents. I am no longer limited to what everyone has believed because I now know it has no truth, no reality, and no law to support it. It is but a phantom. That is what we would call a denial. Ernest used them fairly often. Not a whole lot, but fairly often. You want to see classic denials? Go read Emma Curtis Hopkins. She is the queen of denials. You could go and tell her your story, and she would be sitting there silently listening to your story, declaring, you are not that, you are not that, you are not that. She was denying the truth of your story. Okay? She wasn't denying that these are the experiences that you were having. What she was saying, that's not what you are. Okay? There's a difference. There's a difference. And once you learn the difference, it's like, yes, the experience is real. But the truth, it ain't. All right. And my English teacher from high school just rose from the grave. All right. Sorry, Mrs. McFall. Such an argument in mind will tend to destroy old beliefs and give us the leeway that is necessary if we are to initiate new, larger, better, and less limited ideas. Imagination and feeling will play a great part in overcoming the old limitations, and our newly acquired inward awareness will proclaim to us that we are, and always have been, a part of God's universe. The words which we speak will connect us with that which is greater than our previous experience. We have always been a part of God's universe. Cool. All right. We must come to know that no past experience need bind the possibility of new and better ones, until finally we think more and more completely from the standpoint that God is all there is and that all things are possible to God. God is all there is, and all things are possible to God. All right. And also that through our new knowledge, the greater possibility is ours today. Identifying ourselves with this more complete life, we begin to specialize this universal concept by identifying the things we are doing with the greater possibility. In a certain sense, this is letting fire down from heaven or bringing light into a darkened room. They're in quotes, but he is not citing his sources. In actual practice, it is a consistent process of identifying the personal self with the impersonal. Human with God, life with living, prayer with performance, the universal spirit with our own spiritual being, which is a part of the universe, that universal spirit, and then bringing those larger thought patterns to bear upon things which we do in everyday life. It's like nothing is too small for God. Principle is not bound by precedent. And it is one of our most favorite Ernest Holmes sayings. Principle is not bound by precedent. There is no law in the universe that seeks to perpetuate old limitations, but there is a law which responds to our greater vision at the exact level of that vision. The mind should be kept in a buoyant, expectant, enthusiastic attitude. All weightiness and confusion must be eliminated, and we must think back to that which is boundless and free. This is a secret we hold with ourselves and with life or God. Do not ask that someone else justify you in your belief, for this is confusion. Do not ask by what authority we do these things, for this would be to limit our activities in the way other people have done them. Here is where the mind must work alone, increasing its own sphere, reaffirming its own position, awakening itself to the greater influx. Just as surely as we do this, we shall find that the prison walls of the lesser self begin to crumble. The horizon of experience begins to push itself further away, and because more spiritual territory is taken in, greater experiences are bound to follow. Principle is not bound by precedent. All right, and tomorrow we will do, tomorrow it's a shorty, but it's a heavy. Disease is not first cause. All right, beloveds, that is Principle is not bound by precedent. And hopefully all the commentary happened in, because I'm going to wrap this up by encouraging you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. A take care of business day, a middle of the week day, a dance in the cool breezes day, even if they're in your own mind day. Stay out of the heat day, drink plenty of water day, cuddle your fur babies day, take care of what you gotta do day, do something fun for yourself day, eat something amazing day. Don't take yourself too seriously day. Remember, Principle is not bound by precedent day. A let's break up those old patterns of thought day, a good day, and if that is too much pressure, and occasionally it is, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You're a beloved expression of the divine. You're spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godly. Explore that truth of your being. Get to know who God knows you to be. Get to know who the divine knows you to be. Because the divine knows you to be good. It's all the divine knows. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds. I got a boogie. So, yeah, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9-ish tomorrow. Oh, no, it may be 8:45 because I'm going to the gym. Take care of your... I think I'm going to the gym. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will see you next time. All right, beloveds.